Hi, everyone. I am Bill Shireman. I am the co-founder with my partner in politics and the environment, Trammell S. Crow, in This Together. In This Together is an initiative to help to bring together the country once again from our incredible political civil war, which seems to have divided us into alternative camps. One of the toughest times to deal with for us as a country in this is when it gets to be the holidays, and it is the holidays again, hard as it is to believe. And when we get together for our family meals, uh, the advice that has proven, I guess, useful for generations, don't talk about politics or religion, still seems like a good idea. But frankly, as we approach this holiday, there are so many political turkeys on the far right and the far left with strong views that just don't get along. It's hard not to talk about politics. It's just going to come up. This has been challenging for me as an individual. In our family get-togethers, we'll be doing it virtually this year. My family is mostly kind of political moderates, but we're intense moderates. We care deeply, and we do have leanings. My brother, his favorite piece is the left wing. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, he prefers the right wing. I'm kind of, in the middle, so I'm more of a breast man myself. We have differences, but I'm a contrarian, and I tend to argue a little bit more with people, and I'll always take the position that's not represented at the table. So since our conversations kind of lean left for the most part, I kind of lean right, and that gets me into deep trouble. And we've had some kind of difficult conversations. So today we have an expert who has found some ways to deal with this, and I think it'll be very useful to me and my family, and to you and your family as well. Robin Koerner. Robin, you are a humilitarian, correct?
I am. I identify as a humanitarian. Exactly.
Humilitarian, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us how that came about. How did you become a humilitarian, the first humilitarian on the planet?
I suppose.
And what's happening now in the humanitarian movement as it grows?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's just launched. I think it's fair to say, but it's something that I've been kind of, I would say, working on in the back of my mind for over a year, in fact, as I've watched the United States become increasingly politically divided and polarized and tribal. And I was starting to notice over the last few years that poll after poll, survey after survey are showing that a large majority of Americans realize the way we're doing politics is broken. The politics itself is it's not only not delivering what it's supposed to deliver, it's kind of doing the opposite, right? And so you've got literally hundreds of millions of Americans who would like it to be different, but they see no way out, right? It's like, they go to the ballot box, let's say, and they still just have the two big options.
And we are baffled by each other in this, right? I mean, the people that I talk to, I work with both, liberals and conservatives, and I have good, deep friendships, people that I love on both sides, and they're both completely baffled by the other right now. They say, how could 70+ million people vote for that guy? They both realize that there's maybe a problem with both of the candidates that we recently chose between, but they just can't see how 70+ million Americans can vote either for somebody that they think is going to walk us into socialism, or somebody that they think is going to walk us into authoritarianism, or maybe already has. They're just confused. How do you deal with that now?
So now I should back up a little bit more, because what I've been doing for about the last decade is working as a political psychologist. And the thing that really kind of most interests me is, in a way, the question you've just asked me. This idea that that what we already know, even if it's wrong, so you could say what we already believe, determines what we perceive. Not only how we interpret what we perceive, but actually This is tested in laboratories over and over again now.
Yeah.
But it actually determines how we collect data about the world. There's some fantastic examples of this, in empirical psychology, and now neurologically we even understand it in ways that we didn't use.
Yeah.
So we really do live in different worlds. A committed Republican, let's say, and a committed Democrat, they really do live in different worlds. They experience the same things, the same phenomena quite differently. So you get this situation of people talking past each other all the time. And you mentioned the Thanksgiving holidays, sitting with the family at the top of this chat we're having. And so in that closed environment, that's what begins to happen. One person says something, lays out a position, another person lays out another position, they talk past each other. Not only, if anything, do you not persuade the other person, you probably just cause them to become more entrenched in the position that they initially expounded, right? We see it all the time. So where does that get us?
We have violent agreement on issues so often. I feel like I'm saying something that they agree with, and they're yelling at me, and then they're saying something that I agree with, and I'm yelling at them. And I'm not sure where all that comes from. So what's the approach? How can we raise ourselves to be humanitarians when we have dinner and conversations with people that we love, who come from, who are stuck inside different echo chambers, hearing different versions of the reality? Okay,
so let me start to answer that by saying what this word means, humanitarian, because it's a new word, right? So it means to be committed to principles of discourse and treatment of others with whom we disagree. That, if you like, are more fundamental than our political views. They're kind of meta to politics, right? It's a way we're going to do politics and discuss politics and think about political ideas. And if you're a humanitarian, you say that commitment is more important than my progressivism or my conservatism, in as much as if we are in either of those camps, and we could be a Republican humanitarian, or a Democratic humanitarian, or a Libertarian humanitarian, or whatever it might be. Humanitarianism, if you like, it's the cure for the tribalism. So if you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, we are likely to encounter each other through those tribal labels, and so we've got that distrust. So that even if we do agree at some level on something, as you say, it might be a violent agreement. It might be that I'm coming at you, right? I'm listening to what you say so that I can refute it, because that's what the labels are inviting me to do. If you're a humanitarian Democrat, like a humanitarian Republican, it says, look, we don't have to distrust each other. It says that what we're really doing maybe is coming at a shared problem from different perspectives, but it is a shared problem. We're going to treat each other's views with an open mind. We're going to treat our own views with humility. We're going to remember that there's something that we don't know about the world, the knowing of which can change everything. We're going to remember that if we had different experiences, we may ourselves come to different opinions, right? We've all walked different paths, And so this is, and we take responsibility. Go ahead.
So here's the practical challenge that I find. I mean, the reality today is we are literally, as you said earlier, we're living in different worlds, different media worlds, constructed media worlds that we've actually constructed for ourselves based on how we click, right? Because the algorithms of social media have been perfected in some ways by big data analytics to track exactly what we're doing at all times online, and to put in front of us those messages that we are most likely to click at any one time, so that they can then display the advertisements that we are most likely to subconsciously or consciously register, as a consequence. So we're living in these worlds, and these two worlds have a different language, but they haven't told us that there's a different language. They have words that mean entirely different things on the two sides. One of the things I've discovered is we all want to be heard. We all want to be heard. And by hear it, I heard, I don't mean that, our ears have detected it and our brains have, calculated a reaction to shut it down, but that we're actually felt, that our life experience is respected. And so when I hear someone who I have triggered, my responsibility is to do my best to really listen and hear and feel what they feel, because they're feeling fear and anger because they feel at some level that they're in danger, that their group has become in danger, and that they as individuals, their family has been has come under danger. And I need to let that be expressed and then not be triggered by it to the extent that I can myself at, well, yeah, but I've been hurt too, so that we can actually hear each other. And as soon as we hear each other, suddenly the anger seems to go away.
It does, doesn't it? I think you're spot on, Bill. You've got to, and I think we've all experienced this, maybe in some of our cases inadvertently, but when we have actually seek first to understand before seeking to be understood, right? I've got to listen to you, understand what it is about your experience that is causing you to have a certain feeling or make a certain claim, and then reflect that back to you in a way that you will accept, not caricature it, not filter it through my own set of beliefs before handing it back to you, but actually go, okay, let me make sure I'm responding to this person's experience or ideas as they in fact are. I'm going to check I've got them before, but with that
so you're
person,
going to mirror, as they say, you're going to parrot back to them what they said. Now, we don't want to make it kind of mechanistic, so that we're just...
not parrot. You've got to internalize it. You've got to find in your own experience your equivalent, right? Your experiential memory. So that you can call on, let's say, your own empathy to be able to connect to that person, to what's driving that person's fear or sense of injustice. That's usually a big one, whatever it might be.
Right. Because we're in mechanisms now where our sense of injustice is quite intentionally triggered in order to cause us to be more vulnerable to advertising. That's what the algorithms are doing. They are intended to make each of us feel like we're part of an oppressed group, and we are, of course. That's not to say that the oppression isn't real, but to heighten that understanding so that we will respond, look at the clicks, see the advertising that's kind of snuck around the side of it, and finally buy that thing from Amazon that we've been thinking about for a few months.
There's a lot of that going on, isn't there? I think you're right to point out that it's harder now for us to be non-tribal because of these things. But remember, even before Twitter, before Facebook, etc., the media inevitably reflected back to us the prevailing paradigm, because all the media can ever do is look at a sample of data or information about the world, and then they have to make a narrative out of it, right? And what are they going to use to make that narrative? Well, they're going to use the assumptions that we all have, that we all share about our politics or our country or our culture. All of those things that we being the consumers of news, let's say, and the people writing and creating news, all tacitly assume or buy into or know about our culture and our politics, even when we're wrong, because what else is there, right? So so we all need to hold this in front and center in our head when we're receiving information about our country and especially the other tribe. Let's call it that. Which we need to keep in our head that we're being told more about our prevailing paradigm than about the ground truth. Right? We've got to remember that, right?
Our prevailing paradigm. So I'm not sure I can use the word paradigm at a family holiday dinner.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to, but it helps to know it.
That drumstick,
Although, but a way you can use the concept, when you're sitting down across from that, irritating, chauvinistic uncle or whatever, see yourself, right, he's in a different paradigm from me. My job is to try and and understand how his paradigm hangs together. Like you actually, you can go into these encounters with the mindset of, okay, this is going to be a great opportunity to practice. It's going to be a great opportunity to improve my skills for understanding those with from whom I'm way apart politically.
Yeah.
Because that makes you more effective as a persuader, as someone who can change the world.
Right.
Which is what I think we want to do.
So here I am. I'm now imagining myself at the meal, and I'm going into a kind of Zen where my core principles of connection with my fellow human beings are coming to the fore, and I'm doing this without making it obvious, because people would have me, institutionalized if I were to do it too obviously. But what's the simple way to go into that mind frame, Robin?
I think a couple of things you can say to yourself. And one of them is, no one can make me feel anything I don't consent to feel. And at any point, I can choose peace rather than this.
So any point I can choose peace rather than this. Yes. And okay, so I'm going to actively apply that. I'm going to actively apply that this year.
And I'll give you one more. Let's make it a triplet, right?
Okay.
Is the comeback I'm about to give going to increase the likelihood that this individual changes their view in a way that's going to make the world better or not? Because if not, you're not doing it for the world's benefit. You're doing it just for your own.
Yes, right. I'm assuaging my own ego and so on. So if I can say, I mean, here's what I want to, here's what my favorite self would do. My favorite self would feel the pain that the other person is feeling. Feel that pain, whatever it is, just feel that pain and make it evident that I get it, that I really get it. And
acknowledge it
then maybe express my pain as well. We don't get this too down. We still have to tell bad jokes and things like that. But to express that so that we really do understand that we're two human beings trying to figure this out.
There's another thing you can use as you're doing that, which is people will generally let you know when they are open to what you have to tell them about your experience. And they'll generally let you know by asking you. They'll ask you a question. And even though I deal in political psychology professionally, I, as a rule of thumb, it's not a completely hard fast, but as a good rule of thumb, I simply suggest don't provide any political opinion until you asked for it, right? Because then it's going to change that person's mind. It has the potential to change that person's mind. They're open, right? And the way to get to that point, to get someone to be open to your experience, your view, your idea, is to keep showing them, as we've been discussing, that you're open to theirs, and indeed that you've understood theirs. As salesmen say, you've got to give some to get some. So just keep giving that until somebody's ready to give it back to you.
Right. Well, they've certainly given it back to me at times. So that hasn't always been pleasant. But how, we know the reality is that 70% of Americans really can get along. We can work out our differences. And there's maybe 15% at the far left, 15% at the far right, that they're the warriors and the soldiers who are there to fight for their principles, and maybe that's their job. But the rest of us really can get along, and I think even most of the warriors really can get along. So the reality is, we can have a conversation that leads us to a solution. As long as we're able to set down our weapons long enough to actually engage with each other as human beings. So how do we become humilitarians? How do we declare to others, Robin, that we are humilitarians? Where do we go on the web?
Oh, well, there's the question, isn't it? That's always the question these days.
That's right. That's right. Where do we go on the web? It's got to be digital.
Humilitarian.us. Go to humilitarian.us. And there you will find a bunch of principles that people from all all across the political spectrum, left, right, socialist, Democrat, Republican, conservative, whatever it is, they pretty much all go, yeah, I believe that. I can buy into that. And what we want to do is make explicit these deeper points of agreement. So, for example, the idea that it's helpful to judge ideas without always judging the people that have them. The idea that we should measure our compassion by the good that we actually do rather than just the strength of our intentions. These are things that people, I say, across the political spectrum agree about when you present them with these ideas, when you remind them of these ideas. And if you can begin your political discussions with a declaration of a commitment to those, if you like, meta political principles, then those political discussions become a discussion about finding a shared solution to a shared problem, just starting in different places. Well, that's not as scary, right? I don't have to, it takes away the distrust because we've all signed up on a healthy discourse, civil discourse, on, as I say, judging ideas fairly, etc. So if you go to humilitarian.us, you can see a list of those principles, and you can hear from a few people who've declared themselves humanitarian. And then if they resonate with you, and I bet you they will, just if somebody asks you your politics, instead of saying, I'm a Democrat or Republican, you can still be, of course, say, I'm a humanitarian, to let everybody know that what you're really interested in is that we conduct politics in a way that's productive, rather than just keep doing this zero sum, us versus them, or even negative sum, us versus them. Let's make it positive sum politics, right? That's what humanitarian does.
Terrific, terrific, terrific. Well, I am someone who, I love what my country can be. I love empowering people to fully express ourselves as we actually are. I love the fact that when we bring our full diverse selves together, that we become more than we are apart. I love what we have that we treasure, that we find to be sacred: nature, people, and our connections to one another. And I love what this gift is that we've received and the potential that seems to be there. Whether that makes me a progressive or a conservative, whether it makes me someone who loves capitalism or socialism, or someone who loves America or loves changing America, I'm not sure where it is, but I think that's where we all are. And if we can join together at humilitarian.us and in this together America.org, in this together America.org, 5 million of us have the potential, have the power to shift politics and shift media, so that we are brought together again, so that we begin to reunite. So Robin, thanks for everything that you're doing toward that. And let's see if we can join with 5 million other people and change America for the better.
And if I may, that's why I came up with this word. Because how do we 5 million know that we're there? We've got to have, I hate the labels, but you've got to have something. Right? So you will know because we'll be humanitarian. And then the political establishment will be on notice that we're out there. That this is how we want our politics conducted. That is enough, as you say, actually change what it's like to be American.
So right now, become a humanitarian until one side or the other decides that they own the term and the other side decides that they are going to demonize the term, and then we'll have to come up with a new term. But for the time being, humanitarian is not owned by the red or the blue. No. It is purple, and it is all of us. So let's be humanitarians.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Robin. All right.